Aloha, welcome back to Aina Bear Farm. I want to do a video today talking about this very helpful food forest plant that we use here. This is African blue basil. And this is a hybrid basil plant that is perennial in warm temperatures. And it's pretty amazing. This particular plant has been in bloom consecutively for more than 2 years. We planted this from a tiny little cutting over 2 years ago, and I mean literally it has not stopped blooming since then. All year round, constantly new flowers. And we use it for a variety of different purposes. So I want to start the video right here by this Jaboticaba that when I originally planted it, the new growth was getting really chewed up, probably likely beetles. And it was having a hard time getting going because every time it would put up some new growth, the beetles would just come in and chew on it. And so I started trying to think in a permaculture context, how can I create an ecosystem that will benefit that plant so that I don't have to think about like constantly spraying or monitoring for damage, all that other stuff that just ends up utilizing more resources and time. And so I thought about plants that could disrupt the beetle, disorient the beetle, things like that. And African blue basil came to mind because it is a very strongly scented plant. You can smell it within 10 feet of it if you're downwind from it. And it's in bloom constantly, so that aroma is always around. So I figured maybe that would disrupt the beetles a little bit, kind of disorient them with that strong smell. They may not really know how to get to the plant as effectively. And it's worked like a charm. I've tried it on several different kinds of plants that I will show you in a moment. And it's worked for almost all of them. There's one exception that I'll talk about. But before I get to that, I just want to mention kind of some of the other benefits for this plant. I mentioned that I grew it from a cutting, which I think is always a benefit because that means you can really proliferate this plant very easily. And that's great if you're working on a budget, or if you just want easy, or if you have a huge space that you're trying to, dominate weeds or anything like that, and you want to replace not so great plants with great plants. So get a little cutting for $2 usually at the store, and then you've got as much African blue basil as you will ever need. It does not grow from seed. That's partly, I guess, because it's a hybrid, so it's got sterile seed, which I think is actually sort of a double bonus because you know that it's not going to spread anywhere where you don't really want it. A plant that has this many seeds on it could get out of control in your system really fast if the seeds weren't sterile. So I think that's actually a plus. It attracts pollinators, definitely honeybees. So you can probably see in here at the moment, I can definitely hear them. They're all around. On this one plant, I can probably see at least 30 honeybees right now just buzzing around, and that's constant all day long. I've also seen predatory wasps, smaller solitary bees, I believe they are. And so it attracts a variety of different beneficial insects. But the honeybees love these things. They grow pretty fast, which I think is also another benefit. It doubles slightly as a windbreak because of that. It's not going to get too big. So like this Jaboticaba is pretty close to outgrowing it as a windbreak, but it's kind of done its job at this point. Could help some of those younger, more fragile, susceptible plants. We can see that I've got a squash vine that's just climbed over it. It's pretty tough. Like it can take really almost any kind of conditions. And we've got some grass growing up in the middle that as soon as I can get to it, I will kind of dig some of that out because I am trying to get rid of the grass in this area. So I don't really want it to keep seeding and that sort of thing. But you can prune it mercilessly and it will come right back. It can tolerate drought. It can tolerate a lot of water. it's just a really versatile plant in the ecosystem. There's other benefits that we haven't really tapped into too much. It is usable as a culinary herb. I mean, it's a basil. It's just got a really strong camphor content to it. And so that kind of almost medicinal flavor that you get in certain basils is really high in this one. I have heard of it being used as a medicinal for that reason. I think people use it for teas. I'm not a big fan of that flavor as a tea, so I haven't used it as such. And we don't really use it in cooking because we have other basils that we enjoy, that we prefer. But in a pinch, if all your other basils are, dead, or, it's the wrong season or whatever it is, you could come and get some of this and throw it in, and I would just probably cut back on the amount that you use because of that strong flavor. So many uses, which makes it another great permaculture plant. And like I mentioned in this case, the main purpose of it was really to deter some pest activity, and has worked really great for this Jaboticaba. You can see all this new foliage is virtually untouched. It's still a little bit of chewing here and there, but nothing I can't live with. So now I want to show you some of the other plants that we've used this around, and one other, I guess, kind of general way that we use this plant. So let's go check that out. So here what we've done with the blue basil, you can see it kind of tucked in here. We've got pigeon pea, the blue basil, coleus. Lower in here is, we've got turmeric, we've got kalo or taro, and then we even have some pomegranate and a few other tree spinach and stuff sort of hiding in here. And so here what we've done is we cleared a line of grass, and we just wanted to put in something that would hold the grass back and, again, be more diverse, more beneficial to the ecosystem. So we're just using this plant as almost like a placeholder in a way. It can handle direct sun. It can be a little bit more of an understory. But while we're waiting for our fruit trees around us to grow up a little bit more, this is a great way to just get rid of some grass. Now we don't have to maintain the grass. We can just kind of let this system mature like this. And in the meantime, give the bees some food, enjoy that nice pleasant aroma, enjoy the beauty of the flowers. So this is just another way that we use it in our system. I also wanted to mention, before we go and look at a couple more plants, that it's a basil. So, if you're in a temperate climate, think about how basils are annual in your climate, right? You could put this in a pot and bring it inside in the winter. My guess is in a temperate climate that in the winter time it would probably lose a lot of its leaves, maybe all of it, but probably would come back in the spring when you bring it back outside. Definitely worth a try. I never grew this when we were in Maryland, so I don't know for sure, but I have seen other basils do that. And really most basils here are somewhat perennial. A lot of them will lose their flowers and leaves here in the winter and then start coming back in the spring, or they will kind of get to a climax of growth and then die back. But if you go and prune them, they'll come right back. This one, though, like I mentioned before, is just prolific. I mean, it just keeps flowering and flowering and flowering. You don't do anything to it. It's pretty great. All right, let's check out a couple more spots and then we'll wrap this up. So here's just another example of a plant that was really getting chewed up. This is a purple Caymeto, star apple. And similar to the Jaboticaba, the beetles were just really getting at all the new growth. It was really stunting it. Threw in an African blue basil here. This one's not even that big, but almost immediately, no more beetle damage for this. And it's a little hard to see in the shade, but it's looking amazing now. Just seems to work like a charm on certain plants. But let's go and look at one where it didn't work so well. All right, we're joined by Lucky for the final shot here of the video. You say hi, Lucky? Oh, now you're not talking. Okay. So this is a plant where we really have not gotten a lot of the same benefits of pest deterrent from. This is a black sapote in the persimmon family, very susceptible to beetle damage. And this particular one, I've got two, and of the two, this one has been really hard hit. And so far, the basil has not really seemed to do much. Strangely, the other one has been doing a lot better, even though the basil up by that one is smaller and a little bit further away from the plant. So I don't think that that's the number one variable in that situation. I know, like, if you watch the Green Garden guy here on the island, Bill Merrill, he's got a similar issue, and he puts solar lights in these at night, which just having that light when they feed, it disrupts their feeding cycle. And I know that that works really well, so we may end up trying something like that. For now, I still want to experiment a little bit, and I'm hoping if I let the blue basil kind of keep growing and get a little more integrated with the tree, that may do the trick. I know that that has helped with some of our other plants where I just really let it kind of surround the tree for a little while until it gets to a height and robustness that it can kind of take care of itself. So we're going to let it go for a little while longer and see if it kind of stabilizes. But so far, of all the different trees that we've tried that with, this is the only one where we still have the persistent damage with. So we'll see. I'll try to get you an update on that. By the summer, it'll probably have grown more around the tree by the summer, and then we'll be able to tell what happened with the new growth cycle and all that. But until next time, we appreciate you watching. If you have any questions, comments, throw it in the comments section. And we'll see you back here soon at Aina Bear Farm. Aloha.